Heads up. Heads up. Heads up, everybody.
Hey, everybody, come through. We are live. Oh, my God. What is going on?
Good afternoon. I'm Breon Peace, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Thank you all for joining us today. With me today are James Dennehy, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's New York Field Office. We have Deputy Chief Carlos Ortiz, Commanding Officer of the NYPD Special Victims Unit. And we have my office's outstanding prosecution team, Aaron Reed, Megan Farrell, and Philip Pilmar. We're here today to announce the arrest and charging of 3 defendants. Former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch,
I fucking knew
Michael
it.
Jeffries.
Oh, my God.
Matthew Smith and James Jacobson on charges of sex trafficking and engaging in interstate prostitution. Powerful individuals for too long have trafficked and abused for their own sexual pleasure young people with few resources in a dream of securing a successful career in fashion or entertainment. To anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the so-called casting couch system, this case should serve as a warning. Prepare to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison. The message from today's prosecution is clear. Sexually exploiting vulnerable human beings is a crime, and doing so by dangling dreams of a future in fashion or modeling
Abercrombie.
or any other business is no different. My office and our law enforcement partners will always prioritize standing up for victims, no matter their gender and no matter how powerful the wrongdoers think they are. We will hold them to account. As we allege in the indictment, between 1992 and 2014, Michael Jeffries was the chief executive officer of Abercrombie and Fitch. Abercrombie was a widely known clothing retailer with stores around the world. Aspiring fashion models knew that a place on one of Abercrombie's iconic ads could be the ticket to success in the modeling industry. But while Jeffries was the CEO of one of the most recognizable clothing retailers in the world, he was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner, Matthew Smith.
Oh, my God.
The charging documents describe in graphic and disturbing detail the violent and exploitive acts these defendants perpetrated, for which they will now face justice in a court here in the Eastern District of New York. So here's what's alleged in the indictment. Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men. Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them to engage in sex acts with him. Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would often then personally approve whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith. The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons, in New York City, or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's for the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex. But beyond simply hiring men for sex, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson used force, fraud, and coercion to traffic those men for their own sexual gratification. For example, as alleged, the defendants employed a referral system and an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required of the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers. Smith and Jeffries employed a secret staff to operate these sex events. The staff ensured that the men signed non-disclosure agreements and handed over their personal items, such as their phones, before the start of the events to maintain the secrecy of these events. The defendants caused the men to believe that not complying with requests for certain acts, sex acts during the events, could harm their careers. The defendants pressured the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during the sex events. And they required the presence of staff during the sexual activity and ensured that the men did not leave the sex events until Jeffries and Smith decided that the sessions were over. Also, as alleged, on more than one occasion, Jeffries and Smith either directed others to inject or personally injected men with an erection-inducing substance for the purpose of causing the men to engage in sex acts the men were incapable of engaging in or unwilling to engage in. Additionally, the indictment alleges on more than one occasion when men did not or could not consent, Jeffries and Smith violated the bodily integrity of these men by subjecting them or continuing to subject them to invasive sexual and violent contact by body parts and other objects. As alleged in the indictment, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson didn't just carry this activity on for a couple of occasions. Their sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise lasted at least from the end of 2008 until early 2015. During that period, the defendants hired dozens of men and transported them to New York and around the globe. They spent millions of dollars on a massive infrastructure to support this operation and maintain its secrecy. This included hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash for commercial sex, prolific amounts of money for staff to run the sex events, money for domestic travel, international travel, hotel rooms, services from a security company, and Jacobson's salary, among other things. Now, this investigation remains ongoing. Although there are 15 John Does identified as victims in this indictment, this interstate prostitution venture encompassed dozens and dozens of men. And I encourage anyone with information about this case, including anyone who was a victim of the defendant's alleged crimes, to contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Now, I want to thank the victims who have already come forward for sharing their stories. Prosecutions like this are really impossible without the bravery of victims who are willing to report what happened to them to law enforcement. With this office, the Department of Justice and its law enforcement partners will continue to work tirelessly to protect victims from powerful individuals who use their wealth and their influence to exploit and harm others for sexual gratification. In addition to my team, I'd like to give special thanks to FBI Special Agent Amanda Young and NYPD Detectives Paul Byrne and Antonio Pagan, who have worked hard on this investigation in the pursuit of justice. I'll now turn it over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Dennehy.
Thank you, Breon. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Dennehy, Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI's New York Field Office. Today's indictment highlights the abhorrent behavior of Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson. What's alleged in the indictment is not only beyond disturbing, dishonorable, and disgraceful, but simply put, it's criminal. In short, these individuals are charged with running a prostitution and international sex trafficking business.
That's what it
using
sounds
a
like.
combination of force, fraud, and coercion to induce victims into participating in their illegal operations. The alleged behavior occurred here in New York City and in multiple countries worldwide. The defendants allegedly preyed on the hopes and dreams of their victims by exploiting, abusing, and silencing them to fulfill their own desires with insidious secret intentions. Despite the alleged efforts of Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson to conceal their crimes, efforts that included threatening victims and requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements, among other things, their
Wow.
plan failed. This case is yet another example of individuals using their wealth, power, or reputation to manipulate and control others for their own personal interests. I'd like to speak for a second to the victims in this case and others, both those who have come forward and those we believe are still out there. The FBI and our partners make it our mission to prioritize those who have been victimized by sexual predators. We know victims come from all walks of life. They're our neighbors, our friends, and members of our community. We won't allow these criminal acts to go unchecked. We know our agency, however, cannot combat this threat alone. And we remain committed to investigating and bringing these cases forward to prosecution with our partners. We have dedicated teams ready to listen to you and to advocate for you, and we have victim specialists available to provide the necessary resources you need. If you or someone you know is a victim in this case or any other, the number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. We are committed to ensuring you not only get the assistance you need to cope, but also that you're aware of your rights. I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, and the members of EDNY's Civil Rights Section and Long Island Division's Criminal Section. I'd also like to thank the NYPD's Detective Bureau and its Specialty Enforcement Division and Special Victims Division, as well as the FBI's Miami and Milwaukee field offices. And also, I'd like to thank the dedicated investigators and personnel from the FBI, NYPD, Child Exploitation, Human Trafficking Task Force. Once again, we are waiting to hear from you, and we're here to help you. The number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Ortiz.
Hello, my name is Deputy Chief Carlos Ortiz. I am the commanding officer of the NYPD Special Victims Unit. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. The NYPD is committed to fighting for all victims of sexual violence. We stand here today with our federal partners as we continue that mission. Our continued collaboration allows us the necessary resources to ensure successful prosecutions. First of all, I want to thank Attorney Pierce, FBI Assistant Director in charge Dennehy, and their staff, along with my human trafficking unit led by Captain Chase and Lieutenant Picarello for their diligent work in regards to this case. As evident by today's announcement, we hope our work is able to bring some sense of dignity back to these survivors. The NYPD encourages all survivors of sexual-based violence, including trafficking, to come forward and speak with us, regardless of gender, immigration status, race, or sexual orientation. Our investigators are equipped to handle all reports. Our joint federal teams remain committed to end all human trafficking. The mission and obligation of the NYPD Special Victims Unit is to provide a voice for those that feel unheard. We are here for you. Together with our federal partners, we will continue to fight for the victims of the city and all over the country. Thank you.
Crazy, you guys. Oh my gosh.
We'll take a few questions.
I am not surprised, by the way. I think a lot of us knew this.
Can you, the indictment says that this alleged conduct ended in 2015. Why did it take nearly a decade for you to come to this moment? And then did it just suddenly stop in 2015? And then if you would also say a word about the intersection of the civil lawsuits with this criminal prosecution.
Yeah, so, these prosecutions really depend, as I said earlier, on the bravery of the victims to come forward and tell their stories. That happened in this case. Once that happened, our team and our law enforcement partners investigated this case thoroughly and quickly, and we're now arriving at this day when we're charging the conduct. So I say to all victims, we're here, we will listen, we will investigate and bring charges where appropriate. The intersection of the civil lawsuits, there really is, our investigation is based on our investigation, the facts, the evidence we find, and the law. And so the civil lawsuits don't dictate what we do or vice versa.
And do you believe the conduct ended in 2015, or that's just what's chargeable?
I will say, I think the best way to answer that is say this investigation remains ongoing. We encourage any victims or any witnesses to come forward with additional information. And if there's a need to bring further charges, we, of course, will not hesitate to do that.
I had a question about the events themselves. When they took place, were they like company sanctioned events, or did they at any point happen on company grounds? And about the John Does, were they employed at all by the company? Were they working in stores? Did any of them actually make it to be part of these like advertisements? Or were they just simply brought in for these purposes and then recycled out?
I can't go beyond the allegations in the indictment. We don't have evidence that this happened on company grounds, but I will not go further into who is aware where things happen beyond what is already in the indictment, including with respect to what happened after the events.
Hi there, thanks for doing this. Can you tell us how many victims there were in total? The indictment says there were 15 John Does, but how many did you interview?
I can't get into our interview process. We interviewed many witnesses. As I said, their team and our law enforcement partners did a very thorough investigation into this activity. We have named 15 John Does, but as I indicated before, there may be other victims out there. We're hoping to hear from folks after this, and we will take action as appropriate.
How did your office first learn about these events and what was happening?
I think we became aware through media reports, which is not uncommon when you have media that reports on
Per usual.
stories that relate to crimes.
Per
alleged
usual.
crimes.
Abercrombie and
We
Fitch
follow
has
up
been
and
suspect.
do our diligence.
Per usual.
So,
Thank you for doing this, Darla Miles, WABC. 2 questions. I think I want to clarify a little bit on Mark Morales' point. Does the indictment allege that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were involved in the furtherance of this sex trafficking, where the company itself would have any liability? And then secondly, generally, just from a sex victims and sexual violence and investigatory standpoint, we have this situation, these scenarios that are now victims are coming more forward publicly about power, control, manipulation of those who have aspirations. You have the Sean Combs case. you have this case. Are we finding that there are going to be more widespread investigations with regard to officials in power exploiting and manipulating people? Do we see like a trend happening where more victims are coming forward? So it's a twofold thing.
Yeah. So on the first question, we don't allege in the indictment that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were used in furtherance of this criminal activity. But what we do allege and acknowledge is that the fact that Michael Jeffries was CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was utilized, and the potential of an opportunity at Abercrombie to be in an ad or things like that were some of the carrots that I think people perceived as what they would achieve by participating in this activity. On your second question, I don't know if I could say it's a trend one way or the other. I'm hopeful that to the extent there are victims out there who have been subjected to trafficking activity, abuse, exploitation, that they would be confident enough in their federal and state law enforcement partners to come forward. As I said before, we listen, we investigate, we take action, and we will not hesitate to bring charges. In this office in particular, and my civil rights team, I think we have a track record of bringing cases with respect to people in power who have taken advantage of and abused others. We prosecuted R. Kelly. We brought the NXIVM case. We don't hesitate to hold the powerful and the wealthy to account if they have violated federal criminal laws.
And just to clarify, when I say a trend from the power, you may have just clarified that, but with regard to, how widespread and pervasive it seems to be becoming externally facing with regard to those in power control, manipulating and exploiting people. Are you finding that your investigations are leveling off, or are they consistent, or are we finding that you are investigating more cases of this in this
It's not pervasive. It's always existed.
Before, I think we stand ready to investigate any criminal conduct, whether it relates to rich and powerful or not so rich and powerful. If sex trafficking laws, interstate prosecution laws, et cetera, are violated, we stand ready to investigate and bring charges as appropriate.
What more can you say about the victims allegedly being recruited as heterosexual men to engage in non-heterosexual acts? And also, can you elaborate more on why this happened in the Eastern District?
Well, I think I'll take the second part first. I mean, venue is driven by the activity, as I mentioned earlier, and as alleged in the indictment. Much of this activity happened in New York, in the Hamptons in particular, which is a part of the Eastern District of New York. We have JFK International Airport, and travel comes to and through JFK, et cetera. So that's sort of the reason in part that we are bringing this case, among other reasons. There are victims here, et cetera. There's really nothing more beyond the indictment that I can discuss regarding why the choice was for heterosexual men, et cetera. I think I'm limited to what's there.
Mr. Prieston?
Yeah.
2 points of clarification. One, when you said media reports, did you mean media reports in 2013? I'm sorry, 2023 last year.
I think, is that it? Yes.
And then these 15 people who bravely came forward, had any of them had previously complained to law enforcement, for example, local law enforcement?
I can't comment on that. Any other questions? Jonathan?
Sir, on another topic, there's great public interest in this city regarding corruption allegations.
Are we going to take questions
City
on this topic? We're not answering any questions on other topics. We said that when the press conference started. Next question.
Can you talk about what's going to happen next as far as when the litigation in New York and detention?
Yes, so they will have their initial appearances in courts, Florida, and I think Minnesota. And then they will be brought to New York or travel to New York to be arraigned. We're expecting that will happen either at the end of this week or early next week. In terms of the detention, we put in a detention memo outlining our position for Matthew Smith. We are seeking detention in part Because he is a dual citizen of the United States and the UK, the risk of flight are particularly acute with him. And
Get
for
his
the other
ass.
two, we're
Don't let
seeking
him leave.
substantial bail packages. If those aren't met, of course, we expect that they would be detained as well. Obviously, those decisions are up to the judges who do the arraignment.
So if I can try on topic, in regards to evidence, you said phones were taken from many of the victims prior. Do you have any video on top of or other evidence besides the story of the witnesses that would help you substantiate the argument?
We have substantial evidence. We have travel records, we have financial records, we have testimony of victims and other witnesses. So we think we have a lot of evidence that corroborates the charges in this case.
Last question. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There's a press release, an indictment, and a detention letter on the table.
I know that's right. Get his ass. Get his ass. Okay.
Sorry.
Give me one sec, y'all. All right, so here's the deal. So breaking news this morning, the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, which I don't know about you guys, it's been widely speculated. So finally there was an arrest, him and another individual who I haven't even looked at quite yet. I have done multiple videos about Abercrombie and Fitch and there being just something not right. Not only that, there's like this, in my opinion, there's been these racial undertones with Abercrombie and Fitch. Let's just put that out there. Okay. I'm just going to say it how it is. Excuse me. So I have some videos I'm going to show you guys that are like 2 years old, that really outline a lot of the concerns with Abercrombie and Fitch between their advertisement and between kind of the racial undertones, whether you agree with it or not. In my opinion, growing up, Abercrombie and Fitch, I mean, hell, I think I had one shirt that I got from the Goodwill and I couldn't even afford their damn clothes. Not only that, I mean, I was kind of like I don't know, that wasn't really my style too much. But it was heavily promoted to a lot of younger people, and a lot of young people at that time wanted to work at Abercrombie and Fitch. It was the way in which people wanted to, be seen. I could tell you so many stories of people feeling like, they had something when they wore the brand, if that makes sense. But before I get there, before I show you the videos that I have already done on this, let me shout out Wim. Wim, thank you again for gifting. If you guys got a membership from Wim, put a heart in the chat, please. And thank you. Guys, I did not expect to go live right now because we're scheduled to do another live. So what I might do is I got to figure it out. And then I got my sitter coming too. So keep that in mind. Amu, thank you for the $4.99. In 2014, Abercrombie had my 16-year-old friend promote the store shirtless on a Black Friday. Thank you. His manager was in the late 20s, statutory R'd him. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I believe it. I definitely believe your friend because that's how predatory this store was. Abuses of Scientology. Thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to you, love. Thank you. And then Adam Freeman says, why I'm angry is the SAT has gone on years in the industry. I have friends who worked at the H. Wood stores and have come out is absolutely insane what I have been told. Thank you, Adam, for the $20. I believe you. Let me tell you, it frustrates me. Look, it's just very simple. I got the ads up here, you guys. Let's watch some of these ads. I have to get some coffee and I'm waiting for my sitter to knock the door and we will keep going. I haven't decided whether we are going to move over to that live or just continue here. But let me play this while I open the door, you guys. Let me play this. Is this the ads? Here it is. The vintage ads just give you an idea of what it used to look like. Alrighty, guys. Sorry. I had to get my coffee going. Shout out to everybody in the chat. That should just, y'all saw all those ads. I mean, that should give you an idea of what it's like. They've always had an issue with models tell racism, sexual harassment, and discrimination at store. This has been like historic for Abercrombie and Fitch. For those that are living under a rock, I'm sorry. I mean, come on now. Just give you an idea of what the shirts look like. We're looking for cool people, good looking people. Not just anybody can work, and it's always a sex appeal. Who needs brains when you have these? Like, this should not be at all. It's been this man's vision. That's all this has been. Okay. For those that are new, that went over, it does go over your head. I mean, I was young then. You guys remember those times? It's all very much like, and I mean, there's just so, like, I have other videos that I have done on this situation. That is, the store was never about catering. It's catering to a specific type of person and totally not me. Like, let me give you guys an example. This is what they would use to hire. Like, this is how they wanted your hair. Okay. So acceptable. Y'all see this hair, but the two-tone colors this way, bleach. You couldn't have hairs a certain way. Look at this person with the hair right here. And notice how they're all, even the skin color is like one way. Y'all notice that? It's always been this way. It's a status symbol. Thank you. You're right, Nora. In the 90s, when I was like, you had to be, I certainly couldn't afford it. I told you I got one Abercrombie Fitch store and shirt, and I got it from the Goodwill. Nice shirt, good quality. But it wasn't the brand for me. Like, it just, they didn't cater to me. And I don't know about you guys, you go to the store and the perfume and the cologne was like, it just hit you in every way. But yeah, I mean, a lot of us have been speaking out white hot, the rise and fall of Abercrombie Fitch. And this was a documentary that Netflix did. Some of you guys are talking about it in there. So I did a whole like video on it in their work environment, just to give you guys an idea of what it would look like. Like, this girl right here spoke out. Let me hit play on this.
Every single thing on that documentary was not only true, some of it, they left some parts out. And I literally were like, should I do like a story time of all the stuff I used to have to do as a manager at Abercrombie? Because when I tell you, you guys would freak out if you knew the shit that they made us do. Just like, I mean, it would be so cancel culture at this point. Like, they would be so canceled. But if you haven't watched the documentary, you have to go watch it. But I wanted to ask you guys, do y'all want me to do story times of like all the shit I used to have to do? Let me know. I feel like it could be a series. Like, I have so many stories. Let me know. Guys, I've been meaning to come on here and make this video. I started watching the Netflix documentary of. So basically, when you get brought in, if you're good looking enough to get hired, you're either put in the back as impact or you're put on the floor as model. The determining factor of that is if you get approved or not. Cast of is basically what they called, which pretty much all that means is that you were approved by home office, aka you're good looking, you're attractive enough to be in the front room. The people who were approved cast of got more scheduled time. So a lot of the times, like if you didn't fit the look, we would just kind of like phase you out of the schedule. So this one particular story I'm going to tell you guys, I will never forget this. I just thought.
So if you weren't good looking, get this shit right here, you would be phased out of the schedule. If you weren't good looking, like, can y'all imagine you thinking you going to work and your boss suddenly thinks you're not good looking for the brand and you've been like, I don't know about you guys, and let me tell you, I had a lot of jobs growing up as a kid. And I will tell you, I confronted some shit that as an adult, I really, looking back at it now, I didn't realize how like racist it was, or like the discrimination aspect of it. Like, I didn't realize that as a kid I was confronting this. Now, almost 40 years old, I now realize, I'm like, well, damn, that was racism. I remember one time, I'll never forget, I worked at a Blockbuster, and there was this time where I guess the time clock broke or whatever. And I almost had like 2 weeks of not being paid. And I was working a lot of hours. And then when I was paid, I wasn't even paid the full amount. So I didn't even know what to do. Like, I didn't, I'm first generation. Like, talking to my parents about this wasn't like an option because they didn't really quite understand as well. So it was really weird. I remember I went to a high school teacher, and the high school teacher was like, you need to contact the Department of Labor. And that's when I really realized, like, I need to be able to advocate for myself. But I went through some shit as a kid because of like attitudes like this, like, we can't hire you, or you don't look this part. It was always like this. And by the way, I mean, I'm just saying, like, the clothes in Abercrombie and Fitch were just way too tiny. I got thighs. I'm a Mexicana. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a girl. I didn't fit into the X00 small. I didn't even know that a size that existed. X00 small. I mean, shout out to y'all that fit into it. I just couldn't, man. I couldn't. But I mean, yeah, just give you guys an idea of, you realize how much racism there is as a child.
This was so messed up. So I was the opening manager. I got there at 8 o'clock. The store opened, or no, I got there at 9. The store opened at 10. My model shift, who is supposed to be the front person. Another thing is Abercrombie has a lot of rules. So like, you have to have someone in the front room at all times, or you might as well just not even open the store. And they're very, very, very strict, or they were very strict. Like Mike Jeffries was like very like by the book, and all of the people who like up top and down, like they follow the rules. So anyways, my model called out last minute. So it was just me and an impact kid, which basically was a guy in the back. So I asked him if he would work the front room, because I would have been the only person on the floor. I had to do manager duties, things like that. And so he stood in the front, and my district manager came in probably like an hour after the store closed. And I'm going to use a fake name here, but she was like, why is Greg at the front? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Our model person called out. So I had to have someone in the front. And she told me, I would rather you not open the store than have someone from the back that's meant to be in the back be at the front of the store.
There you go. Someone that is meant to be in the back open the store. Like, really? That's the kind of ish? That's how mean this is? Yeah. And Jill, thank you so much for gifting a membership. Sorry, love, I did not shout you out. Thank you, love, for doing that. If you guys got Jill's membership, put a heart in the chat, as well as Wim's. That's how it is. That's how cutthroat it was. You know what I mean? Like, okay. That's just like, these are videos that I did 2 years ago. Now, mind you, 2 years ago, I was under 5,000, subscribers. I don't think a lot of people watch these, and I might put them together just to show you guys the reality of like how crazy Abercrombie and Fitch was. So I am not at all surprised by Mike Jeffrey and the other person's arrest, because these people have a certain type, and I knew of like girls that are, and young men that would go to tryouts. I mean, this was like a thing that they would go and get, photos and stuff done. They wanted to be in the paper bags. Y'all remember how Abercrombie and Fitch used to have like the models on the paper bags? And there's a woman here who does a lot of the reenactments for the millennials. And what she would do is like she still has the Abercrombie and Fitch bags of the male models. So what a lot of the girls would do is they would cut up the bags, and then you'd put it inside your locker. So you'd have like a half naked male model in your locker, right? And then you'd have them like all over your room. That's what they would do. So this is like this is a thing, you guys. Like, yeah, they have a target audience, and they very much target certain individuals.
So basically, she didn't want Greg to be at the front of the store because he wasn't approved by home office. And she would probably get in trouble for that if like her superior came in. Like I said, I have stories for days. So like, you guys, please let me know if y'all want to hear more. But this is just like the first one that stood out to me. I really do have so many more. So y'all let me know. All right, let's get right to it. So I was a manager at Abercrombie and Hollister, which is the same company.
Abercrombie and Hollister are the same company. You're talking about Night Charm. You're talking about LMFAO. The song is "I Like Girls That Wear Abercrombie and Fitch." So yeah, that is the song. And literally, because that was the brand back in the day, that's the kind of, size X00X small. And you'd be like, yo, I can't even fit my fucking arm in this damn shirt. I mean, but you wanted to. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you're like, ooh, like everybody's wearing it. You wanted to. But I still realize, like, unfortunately, clothes like that is not made for me. I had to, stick to my baby fat or some other stuff that was a little bit more affordable at that time for me.
Hey guys. So I just posted my first story time about it, but I wanted to come on here and just tell you guys, listen, this was 10 plus years ago. Okay. So all the stories that I have, it's Abercrombie is completely different now. It really is. I shop there now. I mean, it has completely, it's size inclusive. It's diverse. I think it's working harder to be even more diverse. I really think it's a great company now. It's just back then, and I liked working there. Honestly, I did, but there were just some really mind-blowing.
She said, I bet it's inclusive now. No, I don't think. I would probably beg to differ at this point. There's a lot of predatory stuff that was happening. You could see it in the brand. I'm just saying. She said it was a great company. She did this video like maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah, that's what she did. She said Hollister was my favorite. They closed their stores here years ago. There was Hollister. I remember one time, like, you said, girl. Oh my God. I'm just saying, it's too much. And I just started and literally, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about that. I just, like, you have no clue, but okay. All right.
Things that I was like, let me share this with you guys because the world should know that. But again, I think that it's a great company. I really do. And I think that they're trying to make it right now. So this was 10 years ago. Don't hold it against them now, but stay tuned for my story time. Hey guys. So I just posted this comment made me laugh. Also, I know her, so it made me laugh even more. But people, I bet, really do have trauma. I want to tell y'all like some more stuff that we had to do. So, okay, so when you get hired on, especially when you get hired on as a model, which is basically just the people who work out in the front, but they call you a model so that they can get away with being super particular about how you look and how you're dressed and all those things. So
that's what they do. They call you a model so they can get away with some of the stuff that they do, right? So, oh, you better eat this way. Oh, maybe, make sure you're wearing this outfit, that type of situation. Oh, make sure that X, Y, and Z, you know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you act this way, dress this way. And you know what I heard too is that if you work there, you were expected to buy their clothes. First of all, their clothes was not cheap. And I think you'd only get like a fucking 10%, discount from all of that. I'm like, no way, 10%. A shirt would have been like, I don't know, $50. Get 10% off a discount out of that. I'm sorry, that's not a lot, especially if you're like, starting out, it's your first job, all that other stuff. Yeah, no. I mean, just imagine. So let me hit play on this. And by the way, we will be live on the other live that I have scheduled, but I wanted to play some of this so I could show you guys how far back this goes. We've been tracking the craziness of Abercrombie and Fitch, even though some people don't want to listen. We've been exposing it since like 2022 on this channel.
So we had like a dress code, like magazine catalog, where it was head to toe, obviously, like styled outfits. Now, when I was a manager there, you had to wear the exact outfit. You couldn't like go to Target or wherever and get jeans with it had to be either Hollister or Abercrombie jeans. It had to be the outfit, like the shirts that were in the front, like it had to be, which I'm like, how is that legal? But it just had to be. And if you couldn't afford it, then like, oh, well, it was like a mental note, like, well, we're not going to book this. We're not going to schedule this person because they don't show up like how they're supposed to. We also would keep makeup wipes and nail polish remover and razors for guys because you were to have no facial hair at all. Makeup very minimal. I remember them saying, tell them you want them to look like you just got off the beach, especially Hollister. But no makeup pretty much whatsoever. When I worked there, I only wore like mascara.
Oh my
No
God.
crazy colors. I now remember my district manager.
All right, let me ask you guys a question. Quick question in the chat. Let me know. Should we look into the indictment of Jeffries? Because I'm so down to read the indictment right now since we're live. We're live here. And what I can do is I can push back the other live for this evening. Let me know in the chat. Should we read the indictment? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me vote because I'm all for it. We're already here. We might as well just, check it through. But y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. Hold up. Maybe I'll do a poll. What do y'all think? Should we just read it? Y'all said yes. Y'all said yes. Oh my gosh. Jill, thank you again for gifting him for the $1.99. Let me see. Hold up, y'all. We might as well. So what I can do is read the indictment. Let me see, because I know it's public. If for AF, start the poll. Let me see. See if we could pull it. Indictment. Let's see. Okay. See if we can pull it. That is crazy, you guys. Like, I did not expect this news. Also here, so early in the morning, right now, Abercrombie and Fitch. I'm pretty sure it's available now. And if not, we're going to find it. I had all these tabs open, ready to go for the other stuff. Mark Jeffries. I just want to make sure where everybody is standing that. And like I said, I have a lot of footage from, oh my God. Let me show you guys. You guys, look at this shit right here. Okay. Look at this is just an idea of the recruitment, how it would look like. Okay. It was so expensive, but look at, I mean, this is how they would do it along with this partner, Matt Smith. So that's the other guy. Matt Smith and Mark Jeffries are the ones that essentially are in this indictment. Okay. Honestly, you said I dated a fashion designer and a model when I started out into modeling. The amount of abuse was intense. The pressure of being perfect was insane. Oh my gosh, Adam, you look like you got a lot to say about this because, like I said, like let me tell you what is really sad about this situation right now. Okay, why are people so surprised that men are the victims in here? Like, y'all, we in the Diddy indictments, we know that there's multiple, men that have been as John Does, right? But why is everybody so surprised that, there's actual male victims? Can y'all explain that to me? When are we going to wake up to see that men can be victimized and men are actually like people that don't necessarily pay attention to? Oh, there's no way. There's no way that this happened to this guy. He's just, maybe there's more to this. Maybe it's bromance. Maybe it's a code. But like, we got to start waking up, you guys. Men can be victims too. Men often, and I think about this, I'm like, because crimes don't always get reported. Okay. Just imagine how many men have not reported the crimes that have been committed onto them, right? And you have this idea of like, okay, well, it's not supposed to happen to them. It's, like this machismo. For me, it's machismo. And still, we got to wake up and understand that men can be victims too and have been probably victimized for years and years and years. Absolutely, K-Mac. And Intergalactic, thank you so much for gifting a membership. You guys put a heart in the chat if you got a membership from Intergalactic. Thank you, love. I just want us to wake up as I'm looking for this indictment, you guys. Give me 1 sec because I'm trying my best to get everything going. I want people to wake up, because I have 2 boys and a girl, okay? I have 2 boys and a girl. And one of the scariest things for me right now is that my kids are constantly being fed the shit that I was fed when I was a child. Okay. Also, the excuse that happens, well, she's wearing her clothes are so tight. She probably wanted it. Her skirt is so mini. She probably was asking for it. It was really hard growing up, not feeling like I was being targeted, because I looked very different from a lot of the kids in my school, right? Um, it was very hard. So having a little bit of this about Abercrombie and Fitch, specifically a brand that was something that was heavily promoted in schools by every kid. I'm like, y'all hired models here too, because you got these like little bitty itty bitty shirts, see-through shirts, and things that a lot of us would never be able to afford. This is hard. Absolutely. Thank you. The belief, thank you, Rick, for saying this. The belief is that most men will fight back if they're not gay and are into doing things with other guys. Thank you for saying this. Like, and then there's like this confusion of like, well, you must have liked it. You must have, if they don't fight back, it's because they're gay. And I remember this was like the word that people would use a lot. That's so gay. I never said that because number one, I never understood how you would put that word with like a form of expression. That's gay. That's so gay. I would hear people say that and I'd be like, what the hell? I didn't understand it. But I had a friend of mine who came out in high school, and it was very hard for him to come out at that time. But I didn't realize how often he would be put in situations where you would think, well, that's, a girl can only be a victim, but not seeing him as being a victim as well, where he had been also victimized in certain situations. We don't ever really think about men in that way. It's just weird. It's off. I don't know. Like, and it's waking up to now being 40 and then realizing that this is the bullshit that was fed to us. And I knew that I was like, something's off about this. Instinctively, you have these ads of these half naked men. Something is off about these ads, you guys. It's off. Something is off about a lot of this shit, but why is it okay? Why was his vision? Let me show you why is this guy looks like Gary Busey? Why is Gary Busey's vision okay? Like the perversion of this man. I don't know. Very much, very much. But it's not just Abercrombie and Fitch, you guys. It's so many other industries. Honestly, and I mean, look at these ads, y'all. Like, and I hate to replay this, but the ads tell you everything. The ads say everything to you. There is no very specific type that he wants. Blonde hair, blue eyes. It was never the Mexicana. It was never the dark hair. There was a specific type that he wanted because that's what he wanted to bang. That's what it was. That's what he wanted for himself. Very much so. School age, preppiness, yeah. Like a lot of these models featured on these vintage ads have spoken out. Yeah, like Botch. He's like definitely the Botch Busey, that's for sure. Thank you. Tinkle Tits, yes. It's a targeted population. The fucking cologne smelled like shit. I don't care what anybody says. It just did. The cologne smelled like crap. Okay. And it would hit you when you go. I mean, I would go there and I would leave feeling like I just had like something hit me. It's a headache. It was like a headache that hit me. You know what I mean? It was like, it was crap. And you'd get a shirt and it'd be like you'd see it on the table. And this is the stuff that you couldn't get. Hollister was the same way too. Hollister to me was like, you go in there and they make it into like a beach type of setting. It was dark, surfboards, a lot of fucking cologne. You'd have the camera, like they had like the big screens with the cameras hitting the waves at the beach. Well, this is what it looks like in Hawaii. This is what I cannot. I was like, wait a minute, like, and that's catered to me? Like, am I but it's so expensive. It the cologne was trash. I mean, but I'm very and listen, no shade. If y'all like your colognes, that's fine. I'm just very specific about a cologne, like colognes and perfumes. If they don't, some of them, I don't know what they. It's like musk. It's like you take a musk kind of vanilla musk shower. I said, this shit stinks. This shit stinks. And then it would be right next to the shirts, and you'd have the pretty people selling you these clothes, right? It was right. It is. It is. I'm reading some of this. You said at my mall, Hollister had live models on the windows. Well, like Adam was saying, Adam just said here, like on what was it, Black Friday? No, no, no. Hold up. Let me pull that comment because this is, I feel like it was Adam who said it. That here it is. Yes. No, not Adam. It was Amel. Thank you for the $4.99. It says in 2014, Abercrombie and Fitch had my 16-year-old friend promote the store shirtless on Black Friday. His manager in her late 20s statutorily R'd him. So I'm sorry. Your kid, young teens, shirtless, promoting Abercrombie and Fitch. A 16-year-old. I don't know about you. I have a 16-year-old. Okay. And I love my 16-year-old, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I wonder about these young kids' hygiene. You know what I mean? I'm like, are y'all taking showers? You know what I'm saying? Not just everybody's. Like, I'm like, you could do a better job about grooming. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you over here taking off your shirt for modeling? I don't know. I don't know. You said your kids, see, Axe was another one too. Oh my God. Because honestly, like that is the phase of I just felt like in my teens when this brand was pushed to us, it was a way in which we were pushed to grow up. And I think I really wasn't ready for it. But I'm just saying, yeah, that cologne was responsible for so many migraines, Brittany. Brittany, tell them, okay? Because I don't want to be the mean one. Because I'm sure some of y'all here are like, I'm gonna wear Abercrombie and Fitch cologne. I'm still looking for the indictment, y'all, as I'm like yelling at you guys. I think that was it New York City? Hey, New York City. What is New York City doing? They are bringing people down, honestly. They are. What is up with that? They're doing the damn thing. You have the mayor, you have everybody. Ooh, let me see what you guys said. This behavior is tampered so much. They pumped it through the air vein. They did something because I don't know how it was. Shout out to Zico says, I'm a gay dude, but if I was a girl, I'd have like 10 kids by now. Oh my God. Stop it, Tinkle Tits. Stop it. But they would, I know, right? New York is like cleaning everything up. They cleaning all these predators up for us. That's what they're doing. Let me see if a mod in the chat, I don't know if anybody can help me. If y'all can look for the indictment, because I have not been able to find it as I'm talking here. I'm looking for the indictment. I'm wondering, let me see if it's on Twitter too. See if I can find it, y'all. This has just gotten so crazy. See, I thought I saw. Let me see if I can pull it. I do apologize. If anybody can email it to me, I can't find it either. I'm looking for it. I'm like, I know the indictment should be public information because that's how they post it, but it might be on the website. So maybe I need to go on their, I don't know, website. This is my email for those that if you all want to find it, email it to me, please, and thank you. Let's see. Oh, okay. Hold up. I think it's New York. Is it the Southern or is it New York City? Here it is. Okay. Oh, I found it. Here we go. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. So this is their post. Oh, okay. Thank you, Tinkle Tits. And it sounds like, thank you, my love. But I think this is their PR post. Okay. So let me get it going here. You put it in the mod chat. Thank you, my love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you're going to put it in the mod chat. Something. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Rick Pat. Here we go. So this is their for immediate release media thing that they just posted. Defendants allegedly arranged for dozens of men to travel to New York and hotels around the world for S events. A 16 count indictment was unsealed today in the federal court in the central, charging former Abercrombie & Fitch Abercrombie chief operator, executive operator Michael Jeffries, along with Matthew Smith and James Jacobson, with trafficking and engaging in interstate prostitution. The indictment alleged that between December of 2008 and March of 2015, Jeffries and Jacobson used a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to traffic men while operating a prostitution ring or enterprise. I just put in ring in there, but really it's an enterprise. Okay. Let's see. Jeffrey Smith Jacobson used a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to traffic men while operating a prostitution enterprise. All three defendants were arrested this morning. Jeffries and Smith are scheduled to make their initial appearance this afternoon in federal court at the Southern District of Florida. Okay. And Jacobson is scheduled to make his initial appearance this afternoon in federal court in St. Paul, Minnesota. They will be arraigned in the Eastern District of New York at a later day. Okay, so we got that. So as alleged in the indictment, so the former CEO, Michael Jeffries, his partner Matthew Smith, and their recruiter James Jacobson used their money and influence to prey on vulnerable men for their own sexual gratification. Guys, this is, they are using their, thank you, Tinkle, I got it. They're using their power, right? Very much similar to, you know, the connections, Diddy, all this other stuff, right? That's what they do. Okay. Is that they use money, promising. I mean, isn't that what the whole thing with Bad Boys happening right now? That's that they promise that they would, you know, they would have careers. You know what this reminds me of? You guys remember, well, there's always been this, right? People in this industry will promise you, well, you look like you can model. Let me hook you up. Let me set you up, right? And then it turns out that you are being either trafficked, which is what the case was here. Promising men opportunities, maybe modeling gigs, maybe whatever it may be, and then drugging them and everything. And that's kind of how we got to where we got to, right? So that's, I mean, sounds like the tactic. This also reminds me of John Robert Powers. How many of you guys remember John Robert Powers? Who remembers that modeling agency? There's a couple of them. I'm thinking of various modeling agencies, but I remember John Robert Powers used to go to the malls and they would say like, hey, you look like you could be a model. Hey, here's my card. Why don't you come in, go do a little audition? We'll do a little class. And then this is what it looks like. But you have to pay $1,000 for headshots. Yeah, kind of like that. Absolutely. That's what it looked like. And Wim just gifted 5 memberships, y'all. Please put a heart in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wim. And then also let me shout out Legal Hunting. Thank you for becoming a member, love. Thank you. Thank you, Wim, again. Thank you. Y'all are amazing for supporting my channel. Y'all remember those days, John Robert Powers? And I think John Robert Powers also got in trouble. So they used the same tactic. They would go to the malls and they'd be like, and it was the young people, y'all, young people. You look like you could be a model. Come over to these classes. They'd hook you up with classes. And then they say, well, it's $1,000 for headshots. You take these headshots and then you're not promised jobs. You're promised to give your headshot out to like another, agency. And some folks will never get calls back. They never do. And they just spend basically, sometimes it was like life savings. You remember? Yes. You used to work as a reception. Really, Donata? Oh my God. Donata probably knows a lot about John Robert Powers. Oh, now you got to tell me, what did you think of? So you say you were their receptionist? Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So let's get into this indictment. You guys, I'm having a reaction. Oh my God. Then now you got to tell me, is that how they did things? Okay. There. Ooh. Ooh. So Barbizon and John Robert, I should do a whole video on this because I remember Barbizon, that was a thing. They used to have classes, right? They would say, well, we're going to have these classes. And I know, thanks, Night Charmer. They used to have classes and they would be like, oh, you could be a model. You just need a couple of classes, a modeling classes. They'd use the camera and do the little acting stuff. And then they'd hook you up with like $1,000. You just never know, man. I want to know who actually got famous out of John Robert. There's some people that they say that actually got recognized through John Robert Powers. Some kids did acting and get model jobs, but overall it was just classes. It was just classes. It was just classes, right? And then eventually, possibly you'd get a job. But it would depend. Totally depends on you. You said WPBF 25 News has a video from the 30 minutes ago of the prosecutor in the AF indictment. Yeah, we did review it, Legal Hunting. We just reviewed the press conference. So we have the copy in the indictment. Let's talk about it, okay? And let's go into the defendants, and then we'll go to the alleged facts, okay? So here we go. Well, it's not alleged facts. It will go to what the criminal, because it's a criminal case, not a civil case. So from approximately 1992 to 2014, the defendant Michael Jeffries, who was the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch and the Jeffrey Family Office, the JFO, was established to manage Jeffries' personal income and assets, which included properties in Watermill, New York. The defendant Matthew C. Smith was the defendant of Michael Jeffries. Was the defendant Michael Jeffries' romantic partner, as well as an employee of the JFO, in addition to managing assets. Okay, so you had two partners that were managing assets and whatnot. Okay. The defendant, James T. Jacobson, also known as Jim Jake, Miss Cook, and Todd, was employed by defendant Michael Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith to recruit, interview, hire men to perform commercial sex acts for Jeffrey Smith, including at the New York properties. Okay. So they're saying that the sex trafficking and prostitution business from approximately 2008 to 2015, the defendant Michael Jeffries and Matthew Smith and JT or Jacob Jacobson, together with others, operated an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. I believe it. Okay. During the period, Jeffries and Smith relied on their vast financial resources. Jeffries' power as the CEO of Abercrombie and numerous people, including Jacobson, a network of employees, contractors, and security professionals, to run a business that was dedicated to fulfilling their sexual desires and ensuring that their international sex trafficking and prostitution business was kept secret, thereby maintaining Jeffries' powerful reputation. Now, one of the questions I have is Michael Jeffries going to be in the same facility that Diddy's at right now? Because they need to be together. They need to be together. What do y'all think? I mean, shouldn't they be together? They should just, because they're criminals. Hello? Guilty? I mean, you would imagine the time that it took to investigate. And this was years. But remember what they said in the press conference? It took the media to find all this information out, right? Like, even though lots of us kind of knew growing up, like, something's up about this. Like, what you mean you had to take your clothes off for that job interview to make sure that you could model at the front store window? What? No, I knew people like this. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I knew that this was going to catch up to them at some point. No worries. The math ain't mathin'. You tell them to hit the like button, please, and thank you, Chico. I'm listening and baking. The stress of this is too much. Cabby, don't burn your baked goods, love. Okay, it's okay if you gotta log off, girl. Shout out to you. So, I think Gemini that they're gonna start pulling. I mean, let me say this. Think about Victoria's Secret. Is it Lex Wexner? When is Lex Wexner also? Because he had ties to Jeffrey Epstein. What had happened there too? Are we just going to pretend that there wasn't anything going on there? There hasn't been anything going on. You know what, Erica? You are so right. Shout out to the journalists. That's what we need to know. What's going on? Okay. Thank you. Yes, hit that like button, please, and thank you. Let's keep going. All right. So, so individuals whose identities are known to the grand jury to travel within the United States and internationally to meet Jeffries and Smith in various locations, including the New York properties, as well as in hotels in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, for the purposes of engaging in commercial acts with Jeffrey Smith and others at these sex events. Oh, they're calling them sex events? That's what they did. That's what they're called, sex events? Wow. Some of the men traveled to and were paid to attend multiple sex events. Multiple sex events. Oh, Tinkle. You guys, I gotta tell you guys something. I'm working on, since you mentioned Leo DiCaprio. I'm talking to somebody who potentially is gonna interview on the channel. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep them crossed. That's gonna talk about that topic. That specific individual. Yes, yes. The defendant Michael Jeffries and Matthew Smith through the JFO, so the Jeffrey Families Organization, hired and paid an exclusive set of household staff to facilitate and supervise the sex events. Among other things, the staff transported men to and from the sex events, arranged physical spaces for the sex events, and supervised the men who attended, including, among other things, facilitating the conduct described below in paragraph 9 to 11. Oh, okay. At the direction of defendants Michael and Matthew, the staff were present and observed and acted as security for, including by controlling entry and exits at these sex events. The staff also provided Jeffrey Smith and the men who attended with alcohol, muscle relaxants known as poppers, lubricant, Viagra, condoms, among other items. So they were expected, essentially, they were expected to have sex, right? At the sex events. What were they promised in return? What were they promised? And how old? Do we have any minors here? Because I only know of adults. So I guess we shall see. Okay. As directed by Jeffries and Smith, the staff also directed men to, among other things, wear costumes, sex toys, or prepare for a particular sexual act. Either the defendant, James T. Jacobson, or the staff paid the men for, here it goes, for attending the sex events. The defendant, James T. Jacobson, traveled internationally to recruit and interview men for these sex events. During the tryouts, oh my God, they had tryouts for these events? They had tryouts for the events. You said, I think they said that it was like muscle relaxers and lubricants and Viagra and condoms, among other items. Okay. So they had, during tryouts of potential candidates, Jacobson typically required that the candidates first engage in commercial sex acts with him. Following the tryouts by Jacobson, the defendant, Matthew C. Smith, approved candidates prior to their selection for the transportation to sex events. At the direction of Smith and Jacobson, paid fees to individuals who successfully referred men who were subsequently selected. So they had to try out on these sex events, and then they would be pushed basically to, okay. So y'all remember that, okay? The defendant Michael Jeffries and Matthew Smith and James T. Jacobson and others acting at their direction employed coercive, fraudulent, and deceptive tactics in connecting with the recruitment, hiring, and transportation, obtaining, maintaining, solicitation, and payment of the men to engage in the commercial acts, acts. For example, Jeffrey, Smith, and Jacobson and others acting at their direction, A, employed a referral system and interview process that failed to inform men of the details of the events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the activity that would be required of the men at the events, including, among other things, anal intercourse. Oh my God, y'all. Okay. The insertion of large S toys into the area in high pressure enemas administered by inserting a hose into the what? This is too much. Inserting a hose into the area. So this isn't like a situation where these young men are signing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear anybody shame anybody here, like whatsoever. I'm going to take that personal. Oh my God. You said, as a gay man, I can tell you it's pretty easy to hook up with other guys for free, but this stuff is sociopathic. But you're not even telling these people that they're getting into this. Like, that's not even like, what? So basically, they were pimps. That's what it sounds like. And then they used money and power. They had tryouts. I know Rabbit's like, what the fuck did I just read? Like, not even, oh my God. Yeah, and they didn't tell the victims who would attend the parties. They may have been surprised to see powerful men once they arrive. That, there you go. That's right. So they're doing like enemas and you're right, pretty. You're right. It's very graphic, but it's very real. Like, we need to like pull the band-aid off of this. We can't just pretend that this doesn't exist and that some of us haven't been calling the weirdness out from this. We've been calling this shit out. What is it? Mike Jeffries and the way his recruitment of people and bodies. This is a complete industry right here. It's so dark. It's so dark. Yeah, it sounds like a catalog. Okay. Let's keep reading. And by the way, shout out to all my beautiful people. If y'all like Tinkle Tits, everybody, I know Adam, everybody, you guys, like I said, take a step if this becomes too much for you guys, because but it's very real. Like, why are we going to censor ourselves on things that are so real? But yet we have these ads that are thrown at us. So anyways, and make sure you guys are hitting the like so that it gets in the algorithm, because YouTube likes to censor us a lot. When it comes to this, they don't like this kind of stuff. They don't. And we get demonetized for it too. Okay. So here we go. Take a minute because this is too much. So the required that prospective candidates first participate in an S encounter or tryout with Jacobson at times without advance notice. Caused men to believe that attending the S events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers, or in that alternative that's not complying with requests for certain acts during the S events could harm their careers, including by, among other things, referring directly or indirectly to modeling opportunities that did not exist, incorporating Abercrombie products in these sex events. Oh, so they were also incorporating, like, they're saying like they're using them. They're using products like their perfumes or what, or their clothing. That is insane. Okay, well, okay, here we go. So referring them directly or indirectly to modeling opportunities that did not exist, incorporating Abercrombie products in the S events, and providing men with itineraries for the S events that did not refer to commercial sex and instead resembled those often sent to models for photo shoots, thereby obscuring the nature of the sex events from the men selected to attend. Okay, so like they would have a group. This is dozens of men. That's what it sounds like. This is giving, shout out to Donata, but this is giving like, I promise you a career. I promise you this. And so I'm going to send you to this event. That's what this is giving. You know what I mean? And this is dozens. Okay. Physically groomed men prior to the S events, including at times shaving men's genitals without advance notice. Required men to relinquish their personal items, including clothing, wallet, cellular phones, and store them in an inaccessible location during the S events. Oh my God. Yeah, this is trafficking. This is what S trafficking looks like, guys. Right, right. Like this is what it is, you guys. Just so those that are like, well, what is this? Is what it looks like. Okay. Required men to sign non-disclosure agreements. God, if I hear that people are required to sign non-disclosure agreements again and again and again, like how many times are we gonna between Diddy? I just can't anymore. And laws need to change about non-disclosure agreements, because what people don't understand is that even though you sign a non-disclosure agreement, if a crime was committed, you don't abide, you don't get, it's a fear thing that's being used on you. You don't need to abide by it. Throw the bitch away, burn it. That's what you need to do. Throw it away and burn it, because a crime is committed. It doesn't apply. Follow the NDAs. If I hear another person is using NDAs for some BS, yeah, I'm gonna have a problem. Like literally. Okay. So required men to sign non-disclosure agreements, which, among other things, prohibited the disclosure of information about the S events, including to their own family and friends, and required the payment of damages in the event of a breach. So they required you, if you broke that non-disclosure, you'd have to pay whatever damages. Like this shit would never uphold in court, right? Interesting. Yeah, no arbitration when crimes are being committed. Thank you, Kraken. Shout out to Kraken. Intentionally recruit heterosexual men, certain of whom were unwilling to engage in particular acts, including anal S. Wait. Did I read this correctly? Intentionally recruited heterosexual men. So they intentionally recruited heterosexual men? Okay. All right. Certain of whom were unwilling to engage in particular S acts, including anal S, and insisted that men who were previously stated that they were unwilling to engage in particular S acts, including anal S, nonetheless engage in such acts during the S event. Yeah, Den Monroe, thank you for saying that. It's like they kind of got off on turning, if you want to call it that, like turning them out. Really, it's a violation. Like, what is that all about? Y'all see that? Like they're probably like, I'm just here to model, and then this happens, so they get violated. And how would think about it this way? When it says heterosexual men, did they ask him like, "Are you gay or straight?" Like, how does this work? Did they ask him up in front? Did this happen? Oh, Den Monroe. I know. I hear. That's what it's giving, because there's something very off about a person that, first of all, is not gay, but then you're willing, or your mission is to quote unquote get something from that. Like it's weird. This is a sociopath. These people are sociopaths. Evil. That's what they are. Mm-mm. And you can't cure anything like this. You can't even jail won't cure. There is no this right here, you can't rehabilitate a person like this at all. Oh, really? He avoided to answer. Okay, Jessica, we'll go back to the press conference again. But yes, I mean, let's keep reading, okay? So pressured men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during the S events, and required the presence of the staff during the S activities, and ensured that men attending did not leave the S events until Jeffrey and Smith decided that they were over. Okay. On more than one occasion, the defendant Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith either directed others to or personally inject men in their penises with prescription grade erection inducing substance for the purposes of causing the men to engage in S acts which they were otherwise physically incapable or unwilling, notwithstanding the fact that these injections were not medically indicated and frequently caused the men to suffer painful physical reactions that lasted for several hours. Jeffries and Smith employed their use to fulfill their own S desires by causing them to submit to them. Oh my God. On more than one occasion, the defendant Michael Jeffries and Matthew engage in S acts, continue to engage in S acts, or cause men to engage in S acts, including but not limited to anal and the use of high pressure enemas, to which the men did not or were not able to consent. Wow. Okay, so they got one count of sex trafficking. This is page 6. Let's see. I think this is just what was said earlier. I don't want to go back to this. Count 2, counts 2 through 16, the interstate prostitution. So look at all these does. Hold up. So we have, these are the counts: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God. Wait. So there's 1, 2, how many? We have 15 John Does, and they give the approximate dates between December. So all the way from 2008, this was the earliest, all the way from 2008. You guys can see that, okay? This is how far back this goes. Y'all see that? And this is, so John Doe 1. So I'm kind of wondering what, like, wow, everything that they had, what else? How many more? If they were given a copy of the NDA, what does that look like? So these, they were prostituting these, they were taking them all over the place, flying them all over the country. Okay. They were telling them that they would be models or something like that. They were promised something. Like, that's insane. So we have 3 arrests over this. I'm just, wow. I am not at all surprised whatsoever. Not at all. And for those that missed the press conference, I mean, if you guys want to watch it, let me know. We can go back to it. We did play it earlier in the video in the chat, but y'all let me know. Do you guys want to go back to it so you can hear it again? Kind of wondering. You said, "Oh, Rabbit, will you get in trouble over the stream? I fear." Yeah, Silky, I probably will. But what you guys can do to help me out is hit the like button, because it helps. Y'all let me know, okay? Should we go over it again? Because now, all right, we're gonna go over it again. All right. So this was the press conference, and we don't have to go through the whole thing. But you're right. Yeah, I do get in trouble for trigger words. So the best thing you could do is hit the like button to help with that. Hold up. Okay, let's see. Hopefully you get started right there.
Put the microphones up. As a warning, prepare to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison. The message from today's prosecution is clear. Sexually exploiting vulnerable human beings is a crime, and doing so by dangling dreams of a future in fashion or modeling or any other business is no different. My office and our law enforcement partners will always prioritize standing up for victims, no matter their gender and no matter.
You want to go to the questions? Yeah, they said the bed, no pillow. You said play the questions portions of the press conference. I missed those questions too, but let me see. Maybe we'll play like right over here, because we just read the indictment. So I don't think we'll be surprised about what's being said. Let's see.
Dishonorable and disgraceful, but simply put, it's criminal. In short, these individuals are charged with running a prostitution and international sex trafficking business using a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to induce victims into participating in their illegal operations. The alleged behavior occurred here in New York City and in multiple countries worldwide. The defendants allegedly preyed on the hopes and dreams of their victims by exploiting, abusing, and silencing them to fulfill their own desires with insidious secret intentions. Despite the alleged efforts of Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson to conceal their crimes, efforts that included threatening victims and requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements, among other things, their plan failed. This case is yet another example of individuals using their wealth, power, or reputation to manipulate and control others for their own personal interests.
Adam, thank you for the 10. You said, I was working as 160 hours a week and had a meltdown on the set. They recorded me and blackmailed me to ruin my career, and I wouldn't pay me. They said that they would release the video if I spoke out. I'm so sorry, Adam. That's how disgusting this industry is. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta do what you gotta do to speak your truth, if you know what I mean. It's just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'd like to speak for a second to the victims in this case and others, both those who have come forward and those we believe are still out there. The FBI and our partners make it our mission to prioritize those who have been victimized by sexual predators. We know victims come from all walks of life. They're our neighbors, our friends, and members of our community. We won't allow these criminal acts to go unchecked. We know our agency, however, cannot combat this threat alone, and we remain committed to investigating and bringing these cases forward to prosecution with our partners. We have dedicated teams ready to listen to you and to advocate for you, and we have victim specialists available to provide the necessary resources you need. If you or someone you know is a victim in this case or any other, the number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. We are committed to ensuring you not only get
Donna, thank you for sharing this. And let me tell you what, this is a hard one. Let me just say that much, because, and I've said this time and time again, I said, sometimes perpetrators become offenders and offenders become perpetrators, victims become perpetrators, and a victim can perpetrate as well, right? Like, we have to understand that even though somebody was a victim, they can also become a perpetrator if some of these things are not addressed. So I am so sorry that you and your family went through that, but it is very common, but people don't talk about it. They don't talk about it, especially when it happens in the family.
Get the assistance you need to cope, but also that you're aware of your rights. I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, and the members of ED&Y's Civil Rights Section and Long Island Division's Criminal Section. I'd also like to thank the NYPD's Detective Bureau and its Specialty Enforcement Division and Special Victims Division, as well as the FBI's Miami and Milwaukee field office.
Okay, you guys got to stop thanking each other. Like, can we just get to the damn questions? Let me tell you guys something. This is what drives me crazy about when these officials thank themselves, because let me tell you, these allegations have been out there. And y'all are just, and I've said it before, I go crazy. Y'all are just now doing your job because the media prompted you to do it, because somebody did a hit piece or a story, not even a hit piece, but reported some, truth to what's going on. I get tired of these individuals that take our tax dollars, okay, and they get their salaries paid, and they just, we want to thank you. We want to thank the mayor. We want to thank the investigators. We want to. This finally is broken. I'm tired of it, you guys. I worked in government for 10 years. Stop it.
Federal teams remain committed to end all human trafficking. The mission and obligation
Let's
of the
hurry up.
Special Victims Unit is to provide a voice for those that feel
Exactly.
unheard. We are here for you. Together with our federal partners, we will continue to fight for the victims of the city and all over the country. Thank you.
All right, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I get tired of this shit.
We'll take a few questions.
Few questions. Let's go. Let me slow it down a little bit, see if I can hear it, because I really wish they would do the questions loudly, get a microphone.
Alleged conduct ended in 2015. Why did it take nearly a decade for you to come to this moment? And did it just suddenly stop in 2015? And then if you would also say a word about the intersection of the civil lawsuits.
Okay, so he said that you said the alleged conduct stopped in 2015. Like, why did it take this long? And also, can you talk about the intersection with the civil lawsuit? And that is a great question. That is what we're saying. Why does it take these individuals that I pay my money, my taxes, you guys, all of you guys do as well. When I was a social worker, and let me tell you, the buck stops at some point somewhere, and I worked in government for 10 years, right? And let me just say this, we always had people on our asses because of the taxpayer money. Everything, whether I misbehaved or say I got fired, that would have been a public record, right? That's for the public to know. All of our emails, our communication. So if somebody brought attention to something to this prosecutor and the prosecutors at hand, hey, this is what's going on in Abercrombie and Fitch. Why did it take you, if this was going on in 2008 to 2015, we're in 2024, 2 months before 2025. What are we doing? Why did it take you this long? Why? That's the question, is why? People need to wake up and know, you have your rights to ask the government, listen, government, I have questions, and do your paper trail, because don't expect anybody to do it for you. Do it. Anyways, it just drives me crazy because that's a good question. You know how many victims could have been saved from this? You know how many men didn't have to endure any of this shit? But because their investigation took that long, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Silky, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. And Wim, again, thank you for gifting memberships as well. You guys put some hearts in the chat if you guys got memberships. I had to stop for a minute. Thank you, Wimmy. Thank you, Silky and Wim. And Adam says, during a photo shoot that other models was at AC Hood Friend, there was after shoot that took place, and I can't even begin to say what happened. Oh my God, Adam. Like, you sound like you've been through some stuff with this situation too. A lot of people have. And I hope that this, like, helps people open up and talk about this. You guys don't have to. Yeah, if you're a citizen, you're not breaking laws, you're doing what you have to do. Why can't everybody get a fair trial? Or like, it's too much. This investigation is taking too long. It's too long. Anyways, so shout out to this reporter for asking the most obvious question.
Yeah, so these prosecutions really depend, as I said earlier, on the bravery of the victims to come forward and tell their stories. That happened in this case. Once that happened, our team and our law enforcement partners investigated this case thoroughly and quickly, and we're now arriving at this day when we're charging the conduct. So I say,
we're now arriving this day where we have this press conference and we finally can arrest, even though it's been going on for well over 10 years, 10, maybe 12, 13 years at this point. We can finally have this press conference where we thank every agency for investigating and doing a good fucking job, which was expected of you many, many years ago, right? And then we could have saved more kids, more young people from becoming victims. But I want to thank the department for doing this. Okay, cool.
To all victims, we're here. We will listen. We will investigate and bring charges where appropriate.
Right.
The intersection of the civil lawsuits, there really is.
Well, there we're going to come away from that news conference.
Oh, Lord. Please, I want to hear the questions. Don't talk. Come on, BBC. Don't do me this way. Hold up. We might have to go to another one because literally it might be this one. Hold up.
World.
Let's go right to the questions. It shouldn't take us that long to get there.
Conduct, whether it relates to rich and powerful or not so rich and powerful. If sex trafficking laws, interstate prostitution laws, etc., are violated, we stand ready to investigate and bring charges as appropriate.
What more can you say about the victims allegedly being recruited as heterosexual men?
Oh, so he asked him, what more can you say about the men being recruited as heterosexual men who engage in non-heterosexual activities?
Heterosexual acts. And also, can you elaborate more on why this happened in Eastern District?
Well, I think I'll take.
And he's asked him if he can elaborate a little bit more. I can hear it, but it's very low. Do the right thing. You're right.
The second part first. I mean, venue is driven by the activity, as I mentioned earlier, and as alleged in the indictment. Much of this activity happened in New York, in the Hamptons in particular, which is a part of the Eastern District of New York. We have JFK International Airport.
You picked that up too? I heard that too when he first said it, intergalactic. Oh, so it's the victim's responsibility. It's the victim's responsibility, y'all. It's the victim's fault because, we really relied on the cooperation of the victim. Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's right. But, I mean, okay. Y'all see that? I thank you, Intergalactic, for picking that up because I picked that up too.
Travel comes to and through JFK, etc. So that's sort of the reason in part that we are bringing this case, among other reasons. There are victims here, etc. There's really nothing more beyond the indictment that I can discuss regarding why the choice was for heterosexual men, etc. I think I'm limited to what's there.
Mr. Priest,
yeah.
2 points of clarification. One, when you said media reports, did you mean media reports in 2013? I'm sorry, 2023 last year.
Is that? Yes.
And then these 15 people who bravely came forward, had any of them had previously complained to law enforcement, for example, local law enforcement?
I can't comment.
Okay, this is a good question. He says, the 15 men that came forward, have any of them complained to law enforcement? And he says, I can't answer that. That's a good question.
That's on that.
I have a feeling that they probably have, simply because this is where we're at right now. You imagine this was a grand jury that met. This is how they decided to move forward.
Any other questions? Jonathan?
Sir, on another topic, there's great public interest in this city regarding corruption allegations.
Only gonna take questions
City
on this,
Hall.
on this topic.
Oh my God. So one of the reporters says there's great allegations on corruption in the city, and then somebody intervenes. We're only going to answer questions in relation to this.
We're not answering any questions on other topics. We said that when the press conference started. Next question.
Can you talk about what's going to happen next as far as when they're in New York and
Yes. So
I missed that. I couldn't hear him.
they will have their initial appearances in courts, Florida, and I think Minnesota. And then they will be brought to New York or travel to New York to be arraigned. We're expecting that will happen either at the end of this week or early next week. In terms of detention, we put in a detention memo outlining our position for Matthew Smith. We are seeking detention in part, because he is a dual citizen of the United States and the UK. The risk of flight are particularly acute with him. And for the other two, we're seeking substantial bail packages. If those aren't met, of course, we expect that they would be detained as well. Obviously, those decisions are up to the judges who do the arraignment.
So if I can try on topic, in regards to evidence, you said phones were taken from many of the victims private. Do you have any video on top of other evidence besides the story of the witnesses that would help you?
Okay, so the question is, besides, he's asking about evidence. Besides the phones being taken, do you have any video evidence of the witnesses? So keep that in mind. That's the question. I think it's a good question too.
We have substantial evidence. We have travel records. We have financial records. We have testimony of victims and other witnesses. So we think we have a lot of evidence that corroborates the.
Do you guys think that these assaults were like, y'all think that this was videotaped? Because I could see where they have like itineraries and they have travel records, but with these S events, maybe they were recorded. Ooh.
The charges in this case.
Last question.
Yeah, he didn't say no, right, Potato?
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Ooh,
A press release, an indictment.
Can I just say, hold up.
And a detention letter on the table. When you go out, feel free to help yourself to it.
Can I just say that I am just so like, oh my God, we all knew it. I'm going to keep playing some of these. What I'm going to do is these are older videos. These are videos from like 2 years ago, guys. I mean, people didn't even watch them. There were 341 views on this video. This is when I was starting out, barely. I want to put all these videos together in a separate video to give you guys an idea of what the culture was of Abercrombie and Fitch. But let's keep playing. I'm going to keep playing this video, okay? Y'all let me know your thoughts and let's talk about it.
She was kind of crazy. She was so mad about this one girl who would always get fake nails. And she was beautiful. And she's like, if she would just stop with that, we could actually send her to cast up. Funny story, that girl actually went on to be on America's Next Top Model. On the show. She didn't win, but she was beautiful and enough to get on the show. So it's like they were so focused on all the wrong things that it would just like blow my mind. And she ended up quitting because she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be told what to do like this. Like, this is crazy. So anyway, like I said, I have stories for days. I'm just going to keep posting them because
yeah, I bet that they were culty talk. They're probably selling tapes. Absolutely. You said I was told to get a tan and I was too fair skinned. Really, Heather? Ooh, you said the lady is where she's she was working there, but she's sharing stories. This was like 2 years ago. She was sharing stories of her time. I guess she was a manager at that time of Abercrombie and Fitch. So her experience is a little bit different, right? But she talked a little bit about how people were made to work in the back. There was a girl there that had like, you couldn't have like, I guess, acrylic nails. I don't know about you guys, but I had a lot of acrylic nails back in the day. That's how, that was the thing. And you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. Okay.
It just keeps going. So if you're interested, stay tuned. I'll make like a whole series about it. Okay, guys. So this story is actually kind of serious and it's a little sad. So, but I'll tell you about Mariana. So Mariana worked with me. If you missed this story, she was a model. Like I said, that's what we call the people who are on the floor. And my district manager always just was so annoyed with her because she would wear like fake nails. And the reason that my district manager was annoyed is because Mariana was beautiful and she definitely would have been approved cast of like in an instant.
Wow, sounds like jealousy. Sounds like jealousy.
But she never wanted to take her nails off. So she ended up quitting and my district manager kind of pushed her out the door. Not physically, but like, just through her actions and like pissing her off basically every time she came to work. Mariana was like, I'm out of here, which I don't blame her. So this is Mariana. This was like one of her pictures from America's Next Top Model. Here's another picture.
Y'all remember her? Okay, I watch America's Next Top Model. I wonder what season she was. If you watch the show, you guys remember her? So she worked for Abercrombie and Fitch?
She really was just like so beautiful. Okay, so the sad part is, and I'm not going to speak on it because it is actually a case that like went to court and
oh my God.
It was just a really touchy subject. But basically, Mariana was killed.
Okay.
I
remember this now. Sorry, it's coming back to me. So this was a woman. There was one, it was really tragic. She was killed. Yeah. Mariana Pujar, a 19-year-old former contestant of America's Next Top Model, was found dead in her home with two other people in Charlotte on Tuesday. This was back in 2015. Y'all remember that? I don't know if you guys remember. I remember this specific one. The aspiring model appeared on cycle 21 of the show and finished on the 8th runner-up. At age 18, during the filming, she was that season's youngest contestant. So Mariana, based on what the girl here is saying, is that she worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. And this just tells you guys, like, it's not just in hip-hop, it's not just in country music, it's literally everywhere. You're going to have perpetrators like this that use their money and their influence to try to, get your clothes off, do some activity, take advantage of you, put you in really shitty situations.
I honestly can't speak on it at all. So that's what happened. But to tie her in with Abercrombie, she would have been like such a great model for them. I mean, she was obviously good enough for Tyra Banks, and she was a really talented, great girl. And I mean, I always enjoyed working with her, but unfortunately that's what happened years ago. It happened a long time ago at this point. But yeah, that's that. But look her up. I mean, she has like beautiful pictures. I'm sure you can find some more stuff about what happened, but anyways, that's that.
Yes, I'm
okay, guys. So this story is actually, hey guys, welcome back. This series has kind of been crazy so far, but here's another story. Well, not really a story time, but kind of another like behind the scenes, I guess you would only know if you worked at Abercrombie kind of thing. So I had pictures for you guys. These are not pictures that are of my own store. I just found them on Google. But I told you guys a little bit about like cast of. So basically, if you missed that video, when you start working as a model, which basically is just someone on the floor, you have to have your picture taken. And that is how home office approves you or doesn't.
Okay, so this isn't like you're taking a picture for a work ID. You're taking a picture like a headshot for like modeling, right? You're not taking like this is okay. All right.
So of those pictures, then what they do is they pick like the top 10. So back in high school for me, that was like 2007. It was like the diversity, there was none. It was all white people.
Told you.
I think they cared about like what color hair we had. Like there was like a blonde girl, a brunette girl, redhead, you know, but it was like all white people. When I was a manager there in 2011 through 2013, that's when they really started like trying to have diversity. Still very beautiful people, but really of a lot of different nationalities and things like that. Especially at my store, I was at South Park in Charlotte. So I found these pictures. I'm going to show you. It's so cringy. Y'all are going to be like, no way. So these people right here, like I said, this is not my picture. I just found this on Twitter, I think. But this picture right here is a cast of pictures. So basically it's like these cringy pictures. We're all wearing pretty much the same thing. They sent us, it's called Triple A's. I'll do that in another story time. But like I said, it's brunette, blonde, you know, these are all just like.
Okay. First of all, so these are all employees, and like, do they know each other enough to be like hugging up on each other like that? It's giving very like culty vibes. Like that's what it was. You'd be like, y'all know each other. Because I'm sorry, I work with you, but I'm not like holding up on you like that. Like that's just weird. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Like white kids. Then Hollister got kind of crazy. Hollister, Abercrombie, again, all the same thing. And
okay, notice the girl that's sitting on the guy's lap. Look, they're sitting with each other. Yeah. G-Met's like, it's giving live commune. K-Mac's like, it's culty vibes. It's definitely like a cult kind of vibe. It is weird, right? You said there was a coin in front of the store and they want the males and the female models to stand on. Really, Heather? But you like, wait a minute. You're my coworker. I'm not going to sit on your lap. What the fuck? What is this? Like, it's supposed to, I guess, show that they're having a good time. And then you see the little paddle on the back. Like, what the hell? Okay.
You know, you throw a few like different races in there. That's pretty much as diverse as it got. But that's also for another video. Can we just talk about this? This is like the cringiest. Oh my God, y'all. So, and also for the guys, I don't know if you guys remember like the shirtless greeters that they have at the store. To get like approved for that, you had to send in a picture of these guys shirtless with like, you know, low-rise jeans. So at the time I was like 23, taking pictures of like seniors in high school. Like,
oh no. No, girl. No. It's been a minute since I watched this, guy, so it's coming back to me when I was recording this. Roxy says, looks like a Sadie Hawks group photo. Be like the Sadie Hawks stance. No, but you imagine like anybody can make allegations against you. You're 23 and you're taking photos of a kid with no shirt in high school. Like even that's being put in that situation. You're a manager and you're 23 and you've been put in situations where kids in high school have to take off their shirts and you got to take photos of them. That's just off. Adam says a friend of mine did a tell-all book and it starts as a walk through a hotel and a surf comp. It was a giant FO on her to put the business meet. She was hit with male fluids to get the BM #modeling. Jesus, Adam. I'm going to have to check out that book that you're talking about on Audibles. Thank you for the $10 sub, but oh my God. Jesus. You said I was a manager at Abercrombie Fitch for a year, and it's why I worked in HR now. Right. Girl said that she only hired white people for the longest time. I bet. And then suddenly they're like, nah, just joking. We're very diverse. Just joking. You can have braids. You can have nails. It's okay. It's all good.
Hey, can you take your shirt off? Sorry. Like, so awkward. But basically,
yeah, shout out to Adam. He's got some very interesting stuff to share. Thank you, Adam.
It was a big deal if you were in this picture. You got it. That means you were like top % of the store. And these people probably worked almost every day.
Wow.
More story times to come. Hey guys. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the dress code. Hey guys, welcome back. Hey guys. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit.
Clearly, I need some editing skills. I'm going to edit this out to make sure that I get all these stories in one video. I promise.
About the dress code. So basically at Abercrombie, you had what was called triple A's. You also had like a style guide. This
Okay.
changed like every season. So we got a new style guide pretty much every season. Every time new clothes were like put in the front of the store, you got a new style guide, which means that you got a new discount. So on triple A's, you get 50% off. Triple A's are basically just what's in the style guide. Really, it's just
not with locks. You know what? They'd be like, because they have a list. They have a list of, and one of them has like a male with locks too. So or at least somebody that looks like they have locks in their hair. And that's why I was like, I don't think anybody they didn't want that. They had a very particular person that they wanted working there.
That's what the company wants you to buy and wear while you're working, pretty much, without them saying you have to buy this and wear this while you're working.
Okay.
So here's a green screen of one of the pages from the book. I just Googled this. This is not my own image. I think this was on BuzzFeed actually, but this is exactly what I wore like when I worked there. Denim on denim.
Short shorts. Okay, and I know you guys can't see the photo. I'm gonna have to get a bigger photo of this, but it's like short shorts and like a t-shirt.
And but pretty much what this was saying is that this is how we want you to wear it, and not only what we want you to wear, but how we want you to wear it. They literally did step-by-step instructions on how to cuff your button up or button down. And it was not a joke, okay? People took this so seriously. If we had a secret shopper that came in and your pants were not cuffed the way that they were, or your shirt wasn't cuffed the way that it was supposed to be, we would get points off, especially if it was a front row model. So I'm like fixing all of my employees when they come in, because what high schooler thinks to like cuff his pants twice or whatever. This was the male version. They were like so particular about everything. Here's another one for the girls. I mean, this was basically their way of saying, this is pretty much what we want you to wear. This is what we sent, any cast of picture, you were styled in these clothes exactly how they're styled, because Mike Jeffries and the whole upper management, they were so critical and particular about this kind of stuff. I mean, my district manager would come in and be like, why didn't you cuff Corey's jeans? And for a long time, I think when I was in high school, you were allowed to wear either neighbor.
Wait, so the manager had to cuff their employee jeans? Like, I can understand if you want like a uniform a certain way, but the manager has to take pictures of senior kids with no shirts. Yeah, it's like giving like model and traffic vibes. I would agree with you on that.
Navy, white, or gray. But when I was at Hollister as a manager, you had to wear that exact outfit. I just remember that being so weird. How is this legal kind of thing? But anyways, like I said, this is just my experience, and I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I have plenty more. Hey guys, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the dress code. Hey guys, what's up? You guys know what time it is. Time for another Abercrombie story time. Well, and again, not really story time, but kind of just behind the scenes of kind of what went on, I guess. So I wanted to touch on recruiting, because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. And recruiting at Abercrombie was insane. It was my least favorite part of the job, to be honest. So as a manager, you were required to recruit I want to say it was 10 people a day. It was a crazy amount. And like I said, when I was a manager there in 2011 and 2011 through 2013, nobody wanted to work there, because that was after the lawsuits and people kind of finding out the real, what was really going on with the company. So people were it was almost embarrassing to be like, hey, do you want to work at Abercrombie? But my district manager made us go to college campuses, and just so awkward. But at the end of the day, literally at the end of your shift, you have to do they call it sign offs. So basically you just have to read your checklist of what you have to do as a closing manager. And one of the things is that you have to read off the list of names of the people that you recruited that day. And it was so annoying, because a lot of the times, we wouldn't get anyone. So
this is a good point, GMAT. GMAT says the fact that it's called recruiting and not hiring is interesting, right? It's weird.
That's to the point sometimes where I would just make up names, because I was I don't want to get in trouble, because you would get in a lot of trouble. Like I said in my other videos, they're extremely strict, and they just want things done a certain way, and that's just how it was. So if you had someone awkwardly approach you at the mall, I've had a lot of comments being someone approached me or whatever, it's because we had to. And then it's awkward, because it's if those people didn't get approved, the people that we actually did recruit, they're all excited about getting this new job. And then if they don't get approved, it's oh, well, we're not going to schedule them anyway. So it was just
wow.
What is the point? That's how I felt. Y'all let me know other stories that you want to hear. I'm going to try to think of some more. But I'm glad this is taking us all down memory lane. Hey guys, what's up? Hey guys. I still can't believe this is happening, but I want to clear something. So first of all, everything that I pretty much said is pretty much in the documentary. I feel like I'm sharing my own personal experiences. And let me just remind everyone that my experience with this company was from 10 years ago. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that a lot of us have shared very similar experiences, but I also want to reiterate that the company is so different now. It is a new owner or CEO. They've completely revamped it. So what I've experienced.
Yeah, the devil looks different when you dress them down a little bit, maybe put a cute little bow on it. The devil looks very different. I would agree with you on that. The devil can, you just, yeah, okay.
Is not what's currently going on in the store. So I just wanted to clear that up because I don't want to get any confusion going on. But all of my stories are honest, they're truthful. It's what happened, again, with my experience at the store. And it wasn't all awful. Like, I actually really liked working at Abercrombie. I have like some of my closest friends that I met there. And it wasn't a bad place. I think if it was that bad, I wouldn't have worked there as long as I did or anything like that. But at the same time, there were definitely some things that they are open and honest about. I mean, Mike Jeffries was honest about being like
Mike Jeffries was honest.
An exclusive brand that only certain people could fit into and pull off, kind of thing.
That's
He was open and honest about that. He talked about that, and they talked about that in the documentary. So anyways, I just want to clear the air. But if you guys haven't seen my Daily Mail article, go read it. Hey guys.
Oh, shit. What a tone change. I will have to re-upload this and do some editing to it so I can show you guys. Crimson the Moon said, yeah, she got in trouble. She's like, but it's changed. That was the documentary like 2 years ago. I'm telling you, man, just because you put lipstick and call it cute doesn't mean that the devil is different. The devil is still the devil in disguise. Like, let's stop it. Vodka's like, huh? Yes, you are right, Kraken. Sexism is real in retail. You said you worked in high school in Tuberry, targeted at teen clothing stores. At one interview, we took a personality test giving Scientology. After hire, it was an obvious cute people only. Ooh. I remember having to do personality tests, and I thought it was like, they call them assessment tests now. But back then it was like a personality test. See if you fit in to the culture. Because the test is going to assess that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. They're currently being brutally attacked all over social media. So whoever they fix since losing those times, it's all crashing down again, says Dassler. I'm just going to say that. Yo, listen, let me know. We're going to keep exposing Abercrombie. I'm going to put these videos together in one because I didn't realize how much information I had 2 years ago about Abercrombie & Fitch is what happens. But I kind of knew that at some point this was going to come back. At some point these people were going to be charged and things were going to happen. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think it's important, and that's my thought on that. I'm going to let you guys go because we've been live for like 2 hours. I want to shout out everybody out that supported my channel. You guys stay tuned. We'll probably do another video on this and put things together, and we'll definitely follow this whole situation. Now, the other thing I want to tell you guys is I did start a Patreon. It is free to join right now. It's in the community wall if you guys want to check it out. I have to figure out what to do because we're going to be pulling Diddy documents, and the cost of that, I got to figure out how to make things work financially for that. So we got to figure that out. But y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. I will see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button. Bye guys. Bye.